Hey guys, Apav here. I'm on a couch bed thing covered in just random wires, and I'm going to be making this video on my top 15 video game soundtracks, PlayStation soundtracks. That is, only they have to be a PlayStation game that was released between PS1 era and PS4 era, so any PlayStation game. And it has to be a game that was only available for the it was only on PlayStation, or it was a game everyone most recognized was PlayStation, or originally was released on PlayStation than other consoles. And the other basic rules are I can't do a repeat of a series, so that's that. And also, it's only games that I own. I'm not going to be throwing on games I haven't played before and heard the whole soundtrack yet. So if I didn't put your game on there that you think has an amazing soundtrack, well, that could be because I haven't ever played it. So let's start the countdown. Now keep noted that also I love all these soundtracks like crazily, so it was really hard to choose like which would go in order, and basically all these soundtracks are amazing, so don't just think, oh, it's number 15, it's mediocre or something. No, all these are freaking amazing. I don't want to say get these games just for the soundtracks, but definitely, go check out the soundtracks at least, and if the game looks interesting to you, by all means buy the game, because I think all these were really good by my understanding. So number 15 is Infamous Second Sons. I think I said when I did a brief overview of this that it was like I said I really love the soundtrack in it, and looking over like the non-licensed stuff, or the in-game stuff, I forgot to mention none of the soundtracks can just be like band songs that were put on the music, so like, or put on the game. So like ATV offered Fury 4, that would probably be like number 1 on this list if that counted, but all the songs on like those games are just copyrighted songs that were put on the games, not purely made for the game. Anyways, so it has like many of these games, Infamous Second Son had a great soundtrack that went along with just every action and area and fit the mood very perfectly. And I like the genre, and I like just everything about it. Now this one might surprise you guys that it's so far back, because I love this game to death. Jak and Daxter and the Precursor Legacy. This, I believe, was the very first PS2 game I ever owned. Maybe the very first games that I played were PS1 games, but I was too young to remember. But this was definitely a game that I've always said was my very first game. Sorry about that lighting there, I'll try to fix that in a minute. But anyways, this was a adventure platformer, and in each different area you got your own new soundtrack, and it was just massive, and there was no loading times, which was apparently a huge thing. And well, now I know it's a huge thing. Like when you go into Misty Island, when you're in the main village, crap, I forget all these names, I haven't played it in a year and a half. When you go into the Forbidden Jungle, they all have their different soundtracks, and they're all just like so unique. And if I can remember a soundtrack for 16 years, I'm going to mark it as a good one. Or 14 years, however old this game is, 2013 years. It keeps going down and down now. So here I think is the soundtrack for Forbidden Jungle. This is a game for number 13 that is somewhat underrated. Threads of Fate. Now, this game is amazing. I love this game. Not really playing on both characters, but just the platforming and action bits of it are really nice. I shouldn't say platforming, just like it fights like a platformer game when you have fighting in it. It's just really smooth and it's 3D and it's really nice for a PlayStation 1 game. I wish I could find more games like this. It also comes along with a really nice soundtrack, which is, since I played this more recently, this is like a game I've got in the past 8 months. It's really new to me, actually, being able to find really good soundtracks. Most of the time it's all just licensed stuff. There's my reflection. Hi. Next is a song with an intro that will literally just either make me cry or just sing along with the trumpets that the soundtrack is. SOCOM Fireteam Bravo 2. This needs no introduction. Play the track. What are we on? Number 12? 11? 11? I think it's 11. You can see my hands just floating all around because I haven't fixed the lighting yet. It's just my fan light. Anyways, Klonoa II. That's my name. It was stamped on there when I was like 4 and let my cousin borrow it. So Klonoa II, I chose this over the first Klonoa because I have that up there, is because just it seemed to, I think it's because, you know, it's brought on to the next generation. All the music is amped up. They brought on, I think, a lot of the old sound effects. I'm not sure about all the old music. I haven't looked into it that deeply, but I just really preferred this soundtrack over the old one. They're pretty similar and just really happy and cheery. And then when, you know, something dramatic happens, it really flows into what's going on in the game. And it's another soundtrack that I will remember for my whole entire life. And every time if someone just like played this in a parking lot, which that is never going to happen, but if someone played like a soundtrack to this game somewhere randomly, I would be able to remember which level I'm on and everything. Now the next one might be a surprise to you. I chose Mag, which the servers were taken down in January, and I cried for hours. But I didn't cry. I got teary-eyed though. This was a game that I was obsessed with. It is what I believe is the best freaking online multiplayer anything, but my favorite first-person shooter. It was only online and crazy, but it had a crazy good soundtrack for each different what do you call it, I don't know, territory that you chose. I can't think of the word right now. I was on the Valior, however you pronounce it, side, and they had a freaking awesome soundtrack. And well, just listen. Next is something that I think everyone remembers because of its theme, but also just because of how dramatic the music can be and fits the scene perfectly. Uncharted, the first one, Drake's Fortune. This is the Game of the Year edition because I got my PS3 in 2009 and, 2007. Anyways, I'm just going to play the theme for you guys. You guys probably already know how amazing this is. If you don't, it's a very story-based video game with great action and platforming and all that stuff. And it had an amazing soundtrack that worked well with whatever you were doing. Next is Bully, and those stupid GameStop cases that they used to toss everything into. Oh, and this one was broken, so I put it in a CD case. Anyways, yes, Bully. This game, I don't know why I liked it. I think it was because you played as the bully, even though the bully wasn't, like, a jerk. I mean, he could have been, he was a jerk somewhat, but out of all the dicks in the game, he was probably the nicest. And I think I like that the most because I used to get bullied somewhat, and now I get a bully back. Bully the bullies and stuff. Anyways, enough talking about the game. The soundtrack, I think everyone who's played this game remembers the soundtrack. I'm going to open this up to stop glaring everywhere. But, yeah, anyone who's played this game remembers the soundtrack, and then later they made a advanced version for, like, either, they might have advanced it for the Wii, I'm not sure, but for the Xbox 360, and that made it even more popular. So, if you haven't played this game, I recommend playing it, especially if you like Grand Theft Auto without tons of murder and mature stuff. Yeah, so here's the theme that everyone remembers. By the way, I'm choosing the themes not because they're the most popular part of the game. I'm just trying to choose the best soundtrack in the whole game. And to me, a lot of these themes seem to be the most on point that describe the whole entire game in the sound. Next on the list is a game everyone should remember from their childhood if they're over the age of 12, I'm going with. Sly 2, if not Sly 3, but Sly 2. These games always had an amazingly adaptive, sneaky soundtrack that it's just really memorable. It changed with every territory you were in because, you're constantly traveling through different worlds, and it was really good. And here's the Paris soundtrack. This is the game that everyone who is older than me probably remembers, Chrono Cross. Now this is like the only RPG that I haven't given up on. I don't know why I haven't given up on this one. Every time I play an RPG, I see my reflection, but also I never can beat them because I'm not really into tedious, you know, you have to level up, you have to level up, you have to level up in order to progress type of stuff. But I've got addicted to the story and all the different characters and stuff like that. Anyways, this is Chrono Cross, the sequel to Chrono Trigger or something like that. I have Chrono Trigger download from PSN, but man, I'm tired of seeing my reflection. Anyways, I bet you are too. This game had an amazing soundtrack. If Final Fantasy is anything like this, maybe I should play them. But I don't think I would get into Final Fantasy. I feel like it's just like, it would be just like this, only maybe with a more dramatic storyline. Next on the list has been pulled out of nowhere that no one would probably guess. Freaking Gravity Rush. Anyone remember this game? If anyone out there has a Vita in the world, they have. This game is amazing. I feel like all the good Vita games were released within the first year, and that's why no one can buy one now, because they just threw all the good stuff out first, and now we are waiting for them to develop more. Anyways, this game was amazing. I might do a review of the actual game, so I won't spoil too much. But moving on to the soundtrack, which is wonderful. That's a perfect explanation of it. Wonderful. Somehow they managed to make a freaking soundtrack that matches perfectly to the idea of shifting gravity in a ginormous, massive town and being the one minority outcast person in this gigantic town that you know nothing about. Somehow they put that in a soundtrack. I don't know. Some might wonder why this isn't higher, some might wonder why this isn't lower. Metal Gear Solid. Reason this is up this high is just how adaptive and crazy the soundtrack is, let alone this game. This game is massive, especially for something in 3D. No, it's from top down, but you can also put it in 3D. Or not put it in, but you know, it was a view mode. This game is amazing, and it has a smudge on it from the sticker. Anyways, the soundtrack is constantly adapting, especially like when you get caught or when you're just sneaking around, and just makes the tension even higher. And I shouldn't have to tell you too much about this. Even if you haven't played this game, you've probably heard half its sound effects, because anyone who's played this has every soundtrack and every sound effect etched into their mind, including me. Now, I'm not sure how popular this soundtrack is or not, but I tell you it's amazing. The Heavy Rain soundtrack. If you don't know what Heavy Rain is, it's about like a killer and stuff like that. PewDiePie played it, and that made me not want to play it, because I'm like, anyone who's seen it has seen it. But, or who wants to see it has seen it. Anyways, Heavy Rain. The soundtrack in this game is amazing. It's a drama type game, and it's a very dramatic soundtrack, and there's one theme that I picked out for you guys to listen to. Just pay attention to the piano and how they seem, like, if you listen to it, you specifically start thinking about, like, wanting to cry in the rain, hence Heavy Rain. Next is one of the greatest games of this generation, freaking The Last of Us. You might notice that a lot of Naughty Dog games are getting on this list. Don't know why, it just happened. The Last of Us is, again, dramatic type zombie survival game, but the soundtrack, oh my gosh, I just like, I feel like crying when I listen to it, but just of how amazing it is. Um, just listen to this, okay? Okay, the number one, what I think is the best soundtrack available, which might turn a lot of heads being like, how the heck did you come to this conclusion until I tell you why? Medal of Honor. The Medal of Honor series, specifically the World War II ones, has a really great soundtrack in the background. It's like somehow they mixed in perfectly just drama, World War II violence in the background while you're in the middle of a battle. And specifically the first one, I don't know why EA decided to, or Electronic Arts at the time, there it is, decided to just go so hard into making this amazing, but they did, and they put together a whole entire freaking choir and whatever you call it, the people with the trumpets and stuff, to make this theme. I'm not going to continue talking after this because you guys just gotta listen to this. I can't continue to talk over this awesomeness. I if I sit in the menu screen listening to this song on some of their later games when it is in the menu screen, I will freaking start crying just with, I don't know, it just makes me think. It's amazing. Thanks for watching, and do whatever you want. Like, dislike, leave a comment if you dislike, please, so I know what I'm doing wrong. And please subscribe if you like this kind of stuff.